Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to annuityproducers.com. Today, I have a really special guest. He's a good friend of mine. His name is Val Majewski. Is that how you say it?
Majewski, close enough. I'll take anything close.
Majewski. Oh, all right, close enough. I'm terrible at spelling and enunciation. So anyways, Val has a track record of success in the annuity space, and he's very valuable, tons of content. I've actually been to one of his conferences, got to learn quite a bit. And he has a really, really unique niche, which is the federal employee market space. And we're actually working together on some long-term care strategies to help these employees out. But today, Val's going to kind of share a little bit about his story, how he got into the practice, and then also how he uses this niche marketplace to cross-sell a ton of annuities himself and his entire agency. He is the vice president of sales and marketing for American Benefit Exchange, which is a massive company. A lot of you may have heard of this. And as you know, on this show, we talk with people from different carriers, different groups. This is not a recruiting platform. This is all great content from people all across the industry and how they became successful and what they're doing to help other agents become successful. So hopefully you can pick up on a couple of gold nuggets here. And if you wanted to reach out to Val directly, you totally can. We're going to drop his contact information here in a little bit. But Val, maybe you can start off with telling us how you even got into this space, because most of the people that are in the annuity space, it's not like they woke up one day as kids and be like, I'm going to sell insurance. No, they want to be a firefighter or a police officer or something. But we all have a unique story, so we'd love to hear what yours is.
Well, I'll tell you the short version on the back end, right? So my thing was not, I want to get into insurance. I never thought I'd ever be in sales in general, but my dream was to play professional baseball. And I did that for 10 years. So I played in high school, college, baseball professionally for 10 years. And in the middle of that, I needed to make money in the off season, right? Because it's not like I was a major league superstar making millions of dollars a year. I had a family, and I ended up getting my insurance license, not by accident, but responded to a Career Builder ad. I don't even know if Career Builder still exists, and got my insurance license with a captive Medicare insurance agency. Through that process, I learned about annuities because we were cross-selling seniors that we're selling Medicare sup to and long-term care with annuities. And I didn't know a whole lot. We'd bring in the financial guy, and that was really it, that he would close the deal. Well, fast forward a few years later, and I met my now boss through baseball, and I was nearing the end of my career, and found out that he was in insurance. And just so happened, I kept my insurance license active, and I said, okay, let's talk, because I still have a producer's license. What do you do? And he ended up hiring a former teammate of mine. So that put up a flag in my head, like, hey, let me talk to this guy and see if I can get a job when I'm done playing baseball. Sure enough, I asked him for a job, and he said, absolutely, yes, let's do it. So I've been working for him ever since I stopped playing in 2012. And that's how I got then introduced to the market I'm in now, the federal market space, which involves a number of different things that we help federal employees out with, one of them being annuities. And what I thought I knew about annuities from my initial experience with this captive insurance agency was not even close to everything that I learned once I got into the full, spectrum, the full scope of what you can do with fixed index annuities. So that's kind of the short version of how I got into it. Love the market we're in. Love the people that we help. I consider myself an expert in federal employee benefits and retirement information. That's my niche, as you said earlier. That's our company's main focus. I know everybody else does something different, right? You can work with business owners. You can work with seniors with their health insurance, their life insurance. You can work with high net worth people. You can be working with under 65 healthcare, whatever your niche is. Mine just happens to be federal government employees and their benefits and retirement information.
That's awesome. Like they always say, riches, riches are in the niches.
Yeah.
And that's how kind of like I started off too. I started working with a firm that was, mainly focused on people who were receiving a pension. And this was in California.
Okay.
And then I was only selling like one product, and I was like, wait a second, there's a lot more products out there. Let me go ahead and see what it's like to be completely independent. And I was like, whoa, there's way better plans. I like being independent. And then we developed a marketing system along with a good mentor of mine who was working with teachers. And he had this great mailer system for teachers. and he trained me on it, showed me how to do it, and we rocked and rolled, man. That's how I grew like the majority of my book of business, how I hit my first 6 figures. We grew that revenue book all the way to the first 500,000, and I was just selling life insurance predominantly. And then I sold an annuity via a 403b, and it helped us teacher out. I was like, wow, this is really cool. It's way better for the client than what she was in. And I was like, okay, I just made enough compensation to sell like 20 life policies. I would much rather sell one annuity than 20 life policies. So we did a combination of the two, and that's kind of like how it spurred off and created itself. And to your point, it was a niche market. But the federal employee space, that's much larger than just working with a selective group of teachers. And I think one of the values, and I'm sure you can agree with this and perhaps even elaborate on it, these folks are already used to the pension mindset. I like with the teachers, it was CalSTRS and then CalPERS in California at that time. And in the federal marketplace, you have FERS. So they're used to the word annuity, pension, and then they have this other supplemental plan, which is the thrift savings plan. So when you have that conversation, oh, hey, by the way, here's how you fill the gaps, or maybe you can elaborate on what you do to actually get that annuity premium. It's a lot easier to overcome than, say, working with an engineer from Google.
Well, you're exactly right when it comes to a niche and the riches in the niches, right? You want to find your specialty. And when you talk to a federal employee, the awesome thing about it is if you talk to a California teacher, right? Go back to your point, talking to somebody that's in CalPERS or CalFER, like their system is going to be different than Arizona. Their system is going to be different than another state like I'm in or we're in Texas. So when you talk to a federal employee, the cool thing is if a federal employee that works for the VA hospital in Washington State, or a federal employee that works at the post office in Arizona, or somebody that works for the Department of Defense in Florida, they essentially have the same benefit structure. Now, we are fishing in a smaller pond. It's 2.5 million federal employees out there compared to the rest of the country, right? The population, so the percentage is smaller, but there's not as much or not as many people that work in our industry because there are some barriers to entry, right? You need to be an expert. You need to be well studied when it comes to benefits and retirement. Somebody can find out really quickly whether you know your stuff or not, because we're not just focusing on the annuity, even though that is one of the things we offer. We want to help them out in a variety of ways. And you said cross-selling the annuity, correct, because we want to go in and help them in all the areas where they're deficient, in all their areas where they have some pain, and in all the areas where they may not know they have a problem. We want to expose those problems and then alleviate them through certain plans and products that we offer. But when we go to talk to federal employees, I said barriers to entry, you got to know your stuff, and you have to know how to get in front of federal employees. You can't just walk into the VA hospital and say, hey, I just learned how to help people out with their benefits and retirement. Who wants to talk?
Who wants to buy an annuity? Come on, guys.
Or go on to a military base and say, hey, I'm here to talk about benefits and retirement. You're going to get the door slammed in your face or get in trouble really quickly. So just understanding all of that part, all those parts about our market. Yeah, the plans that we sell, the ways that we help federal employees is awesome. I said, I love what we do. I think we're really helping these folks because there's such a lack of information out there, a lack of knowledge. They're not taught this by the government. And I always say, hey, the reason why I have a job is because the government doesn't do a good enough job or a good enough job teaching their employees about this information. So we have something of value that we share with them, and they appreciate that. And we're just trying to give accurate, honest, unbiased information to these folks so they can be put in the best situation moving forward. Now that sounds like, very cliche and this is, I mean, really, that's as simple as it is. Provide the information, open up their situation, share with them all the shortfalls, and then, by the way, we can help you out and put you in a better spot. Here's the areas of concern. Do you want to fix these? Do you want to make these better? And they say, yes, cool. We have some ways in which you can do that. Let me show you how. It's not selling product. It's not pushing a certain thing. Hey, I'm only here to sell life insurance, or I'm only a one-trick pony. Yeah, but you do want to get to the annuity part in the back end. I mean, those are, as you mentioned, Roy, some big ticket items. A lot of agents out there go, that was awesome. Selling these. How can I do that again and again? Well, you got to go through everybody else to get to the next annuity. Ask for referrals, ask for other things. So again, I love what we do. A lot of ways that we can help people. A lot of plans, a lot of products, a lot of solutions, but you got to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to have the educational foundation first. Explain to the employees there, hey, this is how the program actually works, right? So you show value by education, and then you say, well, here's some of the challenges. Then you talk about the problem. You say, oh, by the way, here's a potential solution for you. And that way, you do that to lend credibility. I talk about this all the time because I do Social Security workshops. And literally the entire workshop, I'm talking about Social Security. And then when I have the first visit with the folks, we're all about Social Security first. And then, oh, by the way, here are some of the shortfalls. So that's our niche, is Social Security, very similar to yours, versus a lot of agents, they go right in there and say, guess what? Look at this guaranteed income, or look at this no risk, no fees, and all this growth. It's like, well, wait a second. You got to build a foundation first. Who are they to just hand you money? So you add value through education. And we're very fortunate with today's rates that these products sell themselves. We don't have to do anything other than be an educational conduit for these people to grasp what's actually happening right now.
Well, true. And you're right. You got to go in and build credibility first in any market, right? That you're the expert,
right.
You know what you're talking about. So if I go in and just talk plans, I haven't built any credibility. I haven't positioned myself as the expert. They don't know me. So why are they going to listen to me? Why are they going to want to do business with me or any of our reps across the country? You need to show them that this is where I focus my time. I'm not a person that's in insurance or financial services that happens to meet up with federal employees every once in a while. 99.9% of the people I'm talking to are people just like you, federal government employees that are in different parts of the country. This is where what I specialize in. It is rare that I work with somebody that is not a federal employee. This is my area of expertise. And you can say, hey, I wrote a book on the subject. I've got a podcast, a radio show, whatever it is.
Right.
They understand that. But where the rubber meets the road is I have to provide some, I say, free consulting. I have to go through their benefits and retirement situation, share with them that I'm an expert, and then they're more likely to listen to any guidance that I have. Even if I came out right at the beginning and said, Roy, this is what I think you should do, and it's correct, right? But I have to get there somehow. I have to position myself first as the expert, first go through the process, then I can implement the plan or the solution to whatever their problem is.
Yeah, 100%. Like, just as you mentioned, there's going to be a lot of charity work, and a lot of agents are short-sighted to that. All the time, I help people with Social Security information, and maybe they want to work with me, but there's just literally nothing I can do to help them, right? And that's okay too. Like, you have to be willing to do some charitable donations via your time in order to help people. In the big picture, it all comes back and pays for itself, because a lot of agents get short-sighted on that. And I just do the math with them. If you help reposition somebody into a better situation by educating them, and you get compensated, not even from the client, but from this insurance carrier, and let's say they compensate you $7,000. Okay, well, how many hours of time did you actually spend to earn $7,000? And maybe it's 4 hours total between case design, follow-up, meeting with the clients. Okay, even if it was 7 hours, that's $1,000 an hour. Where else can you work and get that? You know? And so that's what a lot of these agents need to see. You have to be in this for the long term. In any niche, you have to become an expert in that niche, and then you have to give it a lot of time. And then, to your point, Val, you start getting referrals, and people start introducing you to other people, and it starts accumulating and scaling that way. When it comes to the federal marketplace, what are some of the opportunities for agents to actually reposition funds? I know that some locations have 457, some have TSP. Do some have 401k? Maybe you can break some of the qualified money down.
Well, a federal government employee, right? If you're full federal employee, you're just going to have a TSP. There are a few agencies out there that offer, FDIC, for example, will offer its own 401k in addition to TSP. But for the most part, TSP is going to be their version of the 401k, thrift savings plan. And if they did work a previous job, maybe they were a school teacher, a state employee, they had 403B, a 457 somewhere else. Those are some of the ways that you can help. But just traditionally and typically, TSP is what a federal employee will have that we can help them out with. And there's certain ways in which you can do that, certain timeframes that you can do that, either while they're working when they're at least 59 and a half years old or older, or whenever they separate from service. Another thing in there that people kind of look past is the fact that they may have had prior military time. So we ask everybody, hey, are you prior military? Did you buy back your military time? Things like that, because they could have also had a military version of their TSP. So if they were enlisted, active duty, they could have participated in the military version of their TSP. And then when they become a civilian they will get a different version. They'll get the civilian side of TSP. It's the same exact thing, but the interesting thing is if somebody's no longer in the military, they're not participating or adding more money to their military TSP, excuse me, and that money can be repositioned, as you said, because they're not putting into that. They're not contributing to that anymore. They may want to keep it safe and sound, move it to something that is a little more certain, guaranteed, while they contribute to their regular TSP and take some more risk because they're constantly contributing to it and getting matching funds. So there's a lot of different ways that we can help people reposition money. It's just a matter of timing, asking the right questions, digging a little deeper, fact finding with the federal employee.
Yeah. Are there ever opportunities with FERS? Do they ever offer like a lump sum or a buyout option?
Like on occasion, they'll do that. They'll have reductions in force or RIFs that go on. Sometimes they eliminate positions. Some agencies are more prone to that than others. I know those that work for the Postal Service, there's typically more buyout opportunities than with other agencies. And sometimes they do come with a lump sum and sometimes they don't. And that lump sum may be $25,000 or something like that. Nothing that is like earth shattering, but it's a good incentive for people to say, hey, I'm close to retirement anyway. I'll take the buyout. Let's go. But that happens on occasion. It's not as frequent as you may think, but happens on occasion.
Yeah, I was always curious because I know with a lot of pension systems, you can't beat it, even with today's income annuity rates.
Yeah.
And then people go, wow, it's so much more. I go, yeah, but that's why they all have financial problems. They're going to pay you back all your money in like 3 years. And then it's everybody else who's getting hired on. Hopefully they keep paying into it and building this whole thing, But I know that with a lot of private companies, well, I wouldn't say necessarily private, but outside of the government sector, like say 3M, we've worked with a lot of people from there. They have a good pension system, but they had this phase where they were offering a lump sum buyout. So what we would do is we take the lump sum offer, run it in our income calculator to see if we could beat what 3M was going to offer them. And oftentimes we could. Sometimes we couldn't, depending on the client's age. But if we could beat it, then, hey, look, take the lump sum, have more control of your money, have better designations of beneficiaries. And by the way, it's going to pay you more too. So a total win-win. So if you are in the federal government, in the federal marketplace, you definitely want to keep an eye out to see if FERS offers this lump sum that Val's talking about. And if you can beat it, I mean, obviously don't roll it over for the purposes of income. If it's significantly lower, that wouldn't make sense. And it's also not advisable to move it into something that is just growth oriented and not giving a lifetime income. But that's always an opportunity that's out there.
So on those buyout scenarios, it's a little different than maybe the 3M example you're given, because they would give a lump sum and then they'd still give them a pension. So a lot of times, the reason why somebody would take a buyout option is because they're not yet eligible for full retirement, but the government says, hey, we're going to reorganize some things and we're going to lower the limits for retirement. So if you had to wait until age 60 to retire, maybe they're lowering that limit to 50. And you're like, well, I'm 52, so you just lowered my requirements for full retirement. I'll take the full retirement, get an early pension. They'll still get a pension, and I'll take maybe the 25,000 or whatever it is that they're giving me. So it's a little different in that example. You're not going to get either the annuity pension or the lump sum. They may get both, but just understand, you're getting a reduced pension because you're leaving early. You don't have as many years of service. So our main skill with repositioning money is going to be TSP.
Okay, 100%. Yeah, I had a case with a TMRS, Texas here, retirement system, a firefighter, and we were able to. They had that same thing. Well, hey, we'll give you a lump sum and the pension is just going to be reduced. So we looked at that lump sum and we matched it with the income calculator. And that income calculator actually gave this gentleman more money per month than taking a single option without the lump sum. So it made total sense to elect the lump sum and then also get the single option going. It was just a total win-win scenario. It was awesome. So that worked out really well. But to your point, it doesn't always happen that way. But the main focus for the annuity side is the TSP. And I know there's been a lot of changes with TSPs because in the past, maybe I'm incorrect about this, but you wouldn't be able to move just a portion of it. It was like all or none. And then now you can, after they're 59 and a half, they have an opportunity to move the majority of it over if they want to through a rollover process. Is that correct?
Yeah. So they changed the rules and luckily in 2019, they passed a new rule, the TSP Modernization Act, that allowed for more withdrawal privileges from TSP. So active actively working federal employees, once they're 59 and a half or older, they used to only be allowed one time for their entire lifetime, an age-based in-service withdrawal option. That's it. So if somebody already took an in-service withdrawal, if they came to you and said, hey, I want to move my money now, I want to be safe, I want to do something a little more beneficial, you were handcuffed because you took your one-time withdrawal already. Now they're allowed up to 4 per year, which is awesome. And then in retirement, it was essentially, if they take an in-service withdrawal, there was an all or nothing withdrawal in retirement. Once you were separated from service, you either had a one-time partial withdrawal, or if you took your in-service, you couldn't take a partial withdrawal in retirement. It was all or nothing. Now they allow an unlimited amount of partial withdrawals in retirement for federal retirees. So it gives them more flexibility, more options, which is great.
Yeah.
Because now they don't have to put all the eggs in one basket or move it to one place only. A lot of cases, we're doing multiple plans, right? Some different strategies where it's not just going into one bucket, one plan. You may have a little bit of income, you may have a little bit of growth, you may have a little bit of something else, all combined, you know, and maybe down in your area of expertise too, you've got an income plan, a growth plan, and your protection plan with like long-term care. So there's a lot of different ways we can do it because we can do multiple withdrawal options, and it makes it a lot more.
Oh, that's awesome. And then they're able to move the entire TSP over once they separate from service.
They can move, well, if they use that in-service withdrawal, that age-based in-service withdrawal option, it can be a portion or all of their TSP, right? So even if they're working, they can take their entire balance. It does not cancel. It does not stop their TSP. They'll still contribute. They'll still get the matching money. But at any point, in service or out of service, they can take a partial or all of their TSP. Obviously, once they're separated, if they take a full withdrawal, it's going to close out their account. But they have options, again, flexibility to take a little bit or all of it at any point.
At any point. So even, let's say they're 55 years old.
Once they're eligible.
Okay, eligibility.
Once they're eligible. Sorry, I should have added that extra part of the sentence. At any point, once they're eligible to take it, they can take a portion or all out. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good to know, because I know a lot of guys out there that may bump into the federal employees like, oh, I can't do anything with this TSP. It's like, well, that rule, like you educated me on that rule. It's like, wow, I didn't know that. I was just ingrained in that you had to wait, but that's really awesome. Yeah. Now on the matching, what kind of matching is usually seen? Is it like a 5% or 6% match? 5%.
So essentially, I mean, just to make it easy for everybody that's watching or listening, a federal employee puts in 5% to their TSP. Whether that 5% goes to the Roth bucket or the traditional bucket, the government will match 5%. So best kind of money, in my opinion, is free money. Most federal employees should at least take advantage of that. If anybody's working federal employees and somebody's not putting in 5%, that's normally one of our first recommendations is how can we get you to 5% so you can take advantage of that free money.
That's awesome. And then if they're contributing, say 10%, do you generally, I guess you can look at the whole situation, right? But that would be an opportunity. Look, instead of, get the match, that's free money. And then the amount above that, perhaps you think about diversifying into like a Roth IRA or using some of this money to supplement for long-term care or life insurance or some other ancillary planning or build up the savings.
Correct. That's right in the track of what we look at is if anything above and beyond the matching can be repositioned as well. Now, maybe in some cases, it might be beneficial to keep it going into TSP, depending on the situation, but others may have needs that they want to take care of, or they may not want to take too much risk, or they might be concerned about, again, you said more tax-free dollars. So we're looking at outside Roth IRA or Roth IRA alternatives. So those are things that we can help federal employees out with as well on repositioning side.
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, in the federal employees, like there's a unique way to market to them, right? To get in front of them. Because like you said, you can't just literally walk into the post office and say, hey, who wants to buy a plan? Ironically, I had a guy yesterday come in.
You can try it. Go for it. Let's see how that works out.
Yeah, exactly. I had a guy yesterday, he came in to meet with me and, he does work for the post office and he wants to talk about his TSP account. I said, absolutely. He's 64. So he's going to retire sometime this year. I was like, let's definitely get together and see how we can do this. And he was under the assumption that he had to wait to move it. I said, no, you don't have to. You can move it now since you're 64 years old. He goes, oh, really? So he's going to bring in his statements. We're going to take a look at everything. But I mean, I didn't market for that. He happened to come to one of my Social Security workshops. So What are some of the things that you do at American Benefit Exchange to help agents get more access and leads, I guess you would call them, and
Sure.
get in front of these federal employees?
Well, the first thing is education. I mean, that's the training to get somebody that may not know the Fed market up to
Mhm.
speed. We have to make you the expert, or at least um, as good of an
At least
expert as
appear to
you
be
can
an
be.
expert, right?
Right. As good as you can be. You're going to learn on the job. And there's still some things that I see working 12 years now exclusively with federal employees that I've never seen before. So I learn some things all the time. That gap is getting smaller and smaller. I'm pretty sure I've seen most things, but
Sure.
first thing's the expertise. Next, yeah, how do you get in front of folks? There's various lead opportunities, ways that we generate traffic to either websites that we own, or I said I host a radio show podcast that you were a
Hmm.
guest on called the Federal
Yeah.
Retirement Show. We generate leads that way. There are a lot of government groups, associations that we partner with to bring in leads and opportunities. I mean, there's so many different ways that
Hmm.
we can do it without having to say, hey, let's just go into the post office, go into the VA hospital, go into your IRS office locally and try to talk to somebody. That's not the best practice. So we would show an agent, these are
Gotcha.
ways that you can purchase leads. These are ways that you can self-generate leads. These are ways you can piggyback off of things that we've already created over the last 30 years. My boss has over 30 years experience working with federal military that our agents can piggyback on and utilize. So there's
Yeah.
no one way that works for everybody. No, we have a lot of different options. Kind of choose your own adventure, Roy. Hey, how do you want to get in front of federal employees? Well, choose your own adventure. What are you comfortable with? You want to do face to face? You want to do virtual? Combination of both. That's
Right.
how we help our agents. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you got to spend money one way or the other to get the business coming in.
Mhm.
And if you go out right now and you buy like annuity leads directly, they're $400-500
Oh yeah.
per. And then you're just a salesperson on the phone until you can build enough credibility and rapport to get them over the edge to be like, look, I'm actually a real person. I'm here to help you. It's education. But in the federal marketplace, you could spend money. It's a lot less expensive than $400-500 per lead. And then
Yes.
you come in as an educational expert in that particular arena. So the objections and trying to prove yourself is a lot easier in that sense versus just calling, somebody on the phone that you bought a lead from. So that's really nice because now you have
Yeah.
a niche angle to actually attack and be like, look, I am the educator. I'm here to help you. I know this space. I work with other federal employees. So it's a much, I don't know, in my perception, it'd be an easier barrier of entry versus just buying leads online from Facebook or something.
100%. I know that I've talked to agents that have bought those $400 or $500 annuity leads. They call
Yeah.
the first one up and the person's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't sign up for anything. You don't call me ever again. You're
Right.
like, I just spent $400 or $500 on that.
Yeah.
Federal leads are less expensive. They are, you got to know what you're doing. They're harder to generate, but once you do get a federal lead, here's the best part. All right, no matter how you get a lead, no matter how you get in front of a federal employee, and we can teach people how to do that, the referrals in the federal space are better than any market that I've ever been in. To give you an example,
Mm.
you work Medicare, long-term care, final expense. You work with these annuity leads. What are you going to ask them? You're going to ask them, hey, if you know somebody, if there's somebody else family, friend, colleague, whatever, we appreciate passing along my information. Don't keep me a secret. The greatest compliment you can pay me, whatever the way you ask for referrals is, even if you incentivize them. Yeah, I'll give you a $25 Starbucks gift card for every 3 referrals you give me, or whatever the number is. With the federal
Yeah.
market, it's not a matter of if they know somebody. If you're talking to one federal employee,
Yeah.
you know 100% that they work with all the other federal employees that you're going to need to talk to. So you do a good job with this
Right.
person, whether you sell them something or not. And we're just talking as agents here. I'm not going in there as a salesman. I'm an educator.
Right.
But let's just say whether I sold them something or not, whether it benefited me or not, I do a good job with them. They may introduce me to somebody that has $1 million in their TSP and they want to do something with it. They may
Yeah.
introduce me to a group of people that are like that. So that's the thing, and that's the key with the federal space is we are educators and trainers first. And if good news travels fast in the Fed space, bad news travels
Oh, yeah.
faster. People can tell if you're in it for yourself or you're in it for really trying to help them out. Now, granted, if I do a good enough job, Roy, I'm in it for them, then it is going to reward me on the back end. I'm going to get more referrals,
Oh, yeah. 100.
get a good reputation. And yes, I'm going to help more people because how do I get compensated? I have to sell product. I have to sell plans. So ultimately that's the last step. That's the end of the tunnel. But to get there, We need to do what's right for the federal employee and make sure we're treating them as best we can. It's going to open up the floodgates for you as far as referrals are concerned. We have agents that have been in this field for a long time that all they do is work on referrals, 100% referrals, because
Wow.
they've built up this pipeline where now all the people just get sent to them. And it's funny.
That's
If you want to
amazing.
focus on annuities, well, and we got to talk about 59 and a half or older federal employees. Well, who do 59 and a half year old federal employees hang out with? Probably other 59 and a half year old federal employees.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
do a great job with those clients and ask them for referrals, and they're going to be filling your pipeline for you on top of the leads that you're getting or generating elsewhere. So that's why I love this market. Sorry to go off on that part, but I love that.
No,
part
that's
of the market.
awesome. I mean, I want everybody to know, like, you got to find a niche, and maybe this is a niche for you. And if you're having maybe a tough time in the annuity space, you're trying to really break through, this is a great opportunity. And in fact, you may already know somebody who is a federal employee, maybe a friend or a family member. Sit down and talk with them, because like what Val said, like with the teachers, all the teachers spoke with each other, and we got a ton of referral business. So if you go after a niche market, it's a lot easier to get referrals, because to what Val's point, you're going to be hanging out there. These clients that you're helping, they're hanging out with everybody else in the same boat too.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're all like, okay, we're going to get our pensions, and then what are we going to do with all this information? And so if you come in there as educating them, because a lot of them have questions, even if they have orientation meetings, they explain these benefits, they need somebody from the outside a lot of times, like, look, this is how it really works. This is A to Z. And then, by the way, here are some of the shortfalls, because a lot of times in those orientation visits, they won't talk about the shortfalls. They're just going to talk about how great the TSP is and how great FERS is. Well, what if it's not enough money, and how do you actually maximize it? How do you coordinate that with Social Security? Because I know that you guys have a software that actually will calculate the Social Security benefit alongside their FERS benefit as well. And then you can take that data and say, now look, will this create a shortfall? Oh, yeah, that's not quite enough to cover everything. Okay, what if there was an opportunity to utilize this TSP and create a secondary type of pension? And then that's where the income annuity sale would come in. So, I mean, for your agents, you have a accessibility to this software that helps them with the educational process, right? Okay.
Yeah, so specifically for the federal space, we've developed our own software. I know there are other softwares out there that do federal benefit and retirement reviews, but we've created our own version because we have a certain way in which we go about it. But you're right. One of the things we want to do is talk about retirement income, see if there are any shortfalls. If you have to prepare more, say you're a younger federal employee, but when you're older, if your two main retirement income sources, like your pension and Social Security, are not going to cover it, then you're left with TSP, and you can talk about turning that into a guaranteed lifetime income, just like their pension and Social Security. And that's one of the things that we do, again, on a daily basis. And we've got that software as well as other softwares to calculate that income amount, make sure they're getting, you use the term maximize. I love that. Maximize or optimize their situation. Make sure they're set up as best as possible. And then going forward, they have that peace of mind knowing that they're in the best possible situation that they can be in as a federal employee now and when they retire.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's great. So if somebody wants to find out more information about what you do, where do they go? How do they find more out about Val and how to work with you?
Well, I'll give you my phone number directly. This is probably the easiest. And I don't know if you can put it somewhere, but it's 512-582-6050. Our website is think, like I'm thinking of something, thinkabx.com, stands for American Benefits Exchange. So thinkabx.com. There's contact information on there as well. But reaching out to me directly, I love talking to agents. I love talking to people that are looking for an opportunity. And hey, maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. But you mentioned about the annuities. I know we're talking about that. There's a huge opportunity, huge. And I can share with you some awesome success stories about agents who maybe weren't in the Fed space that doubled, tripled their annuity production because now they're focusing on this specific niche, this specific market. And it's I don't want to just boast and say, hey, this is amazing, but it has been very fruitful for us in our company by focusing on this. And I mean, I'm going to be biased because this is all I know, but I have not, even talking to other people, I've not seen a better market for finding your specific specialty as well as for referrals down the road. It takes a little bit of time to get there, but awesome market for that.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Val. I mean, the whole point of us doing this annuityproducers.com is just to add value back to agents. I mean, you have an agency, I have an agency, but it's not about my agency or your agency per se. It's about educating the agents out there and saying, like, look, your style may be better with certain groups of agents versus our style. It doesn't matter to us. We just want to be able to add value out there and make a difference so that these agents can make a difference within their clients' lives. So if you're interested in learning more, check out Val. He already gave you all of his contact information. You can reach back out to us. We can forward you his information. And then Val will be coming, shameless plug here, to our in-person annuityproducers.com training. We're going to do it in Austin. We're trying to do it in August. We're looking at venues and going back and forth and having the Hilton yell at us and trying to charge us way too much. But we're going to try to figure it out and balance it out. And then we're going to be doing studio time as well, because I have a studio in downtown Austin. This is a blank wall because this is our new office, but in downtown Austin, where we're going to be interviewing a lot of these agents, and we're going to allow them to have really high-end quality video content looking over the capital of Texas, looking over the governor's mansion that they can use for their own websites for their clients. We're going to say, hey, look, how'd you get into the space? Why do you do what you do? It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be mixers and parties and all that fun stuff. So Val, we look forward to seeing you there. And thanks again for your time, and everybody for listening. Reach out if you have any questions. Thanks so much.
Roy, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, buddy. I'll give you a call because I don't know how to end the recording at the same time. So
Okay.